Hey guys, it's Di, and today I have an introduction to Louis Vuitton handbags for new enthusiasts to the brands, or possibly just people that are curious about the brand, maybe thinking about getting a designer handbag and are trying to figure out what brand handbag is for them. So I was actually asked to do this video a really long time ago, and by a few different people actually, and I really just couldn't wrap my head around like what I wanted to do with it and how I wanted to present the information. There's so much information out there. I'm by no means an expert in any brand. I don't consider myself an expert. I'm just a handbag enthusiast, so I'm just relaying information in these videos that can hopefully be helpful to people. And so I really was kind of putting it off, but then I recently was asked to do the Balenciaga introduction video, basically guide to the Balenciaga. And so after I did that video, I was able to kind of put my thoughts together on the Louis Vuitton video and kind of come up with how I wanted to structure this video for you guys today. So basically, I will just give a brief overview of the brand. This is by no means meant to be an all-inclusive information video about the brand. I'm not affiliated with this brand at all, and I just wanted to kind of put the information out there because this has been requested a number of times. So first of all, the probably most recognized pattern from Louis Vuitton is the monogram pattern. And this actually was not the first pattern that they made things in. The first pattern was the Damier pattern, which is a square or checked pattern, which I'll show in a little bit. But this monogram pattern through the past few decades, I think has become one of the most recognizable patterns and is really kind of what signifies the brand in a lot of people's minds, even if they're not, you know, designer, handbag enthusiasts and that sort of thing. So this bag right here is the Palermo. And I decided to use this first to share some Louis Vuitton terminology with you guys. So to start off, a lot of their classic bags have the gold hardware. So the most recognizable bags like the Speedy and the Neverfull, they all pretty much have this gold tone hardware. And all the hardware on the bag, if it's on a separate piece, generally has its own little marking on it. It says either Louis Vuitton, it has some sort of copyright logo. So there are a lot of different pieces on the bag that have stamps and markings on them. The coated canvas is very, very durable. It's what the main part of the bag is. I think that's a misconception for maybe people that are new to the brand. This area of the bag is not leather. It's actually a coated canvas, but it's extremely, extremely durable and really does well with, you know, being able to clean it off easily and just taking its lumps basically. This area that's a tan color on this bag is called a Vachetta Leather. And I'll put all these words down below because that's my other disclaimer is I do not speak French, so I do the best that I can. I'm from the Midwest in the United States, and I'm by no means trying to impose as a French speaker, I guess you could say. I have talked to people from French Canada that I've asked for some clarification on how to say things, so I'll kind of note when I say those, but just keep in mind that some of my pronunciations may not work for all parts of the country and may not be 100% correct for actual French-speaking people. But the Vachetta leather is a tan leather that is actually a very, very light color when you first get the bags, and then it darkens over time, it oxidizes, and it will actually get darker the more it's exposed to light. So bags that you look at in the boutique can actually have a little bit darker patina on them than, you know, bags that have been stored in their dust bags underneath the cases and that sort of thing. And that's what it's called when this area darkens on the bag, when the leather gets darker. It's called a patina on the leather. And so this leather will just naturally get darker over time, and if the bag is used a lot, it's maybe exposed to a lot of oils on your hand, a lot of bright sunlight, is not kept in its dust bag, it will darken pretty much to the point of being a dark brown color. So pretty much the darkest you can imagine, a dark brown color, it can oxidize to that point. For most people, normally it, you know, oxidizes to this mid kind of darker tan level over time, but it has a full range of browns basically that it can oxidize to. So this is the Palermo PM. You can also see that it has the piping around the corners. This is not something that's necessarily on all the bags. There's a lot of different styles of Louis Vuitton handbags, and I think that's another thing that's a misconception, or maybe people don't realize. If they're not really familiar with the brand, they think that there's basically just the Speedy and they might know about the Neverfull. They don't realize that there's this whole world of different style handbags and different materials. So I will show you the different materials that you can get handbags and small accessories or small leather goods in. So the first material that I showed you obviously is the monogram pattern, and this has the Vachetta Leather. There is also the Damier pattern, which I briefly mentioned at the beginning. Right now I only have the Azure in my collection, which is kind of like a bluish gray and an off-white checked color. And people will say it's like blue and white. I really consider it more of a blue-gray, cadet blue, if you guys are familiar with that color in the Korean box. I don't currently have any Damier Ebene color, and I did ask someone that was from French Canada how to say Ebene, and that's how she said to say it, so take it for what it is. And it is basically the same as this, only it has a pattern that's a darker brown and a lighter brown. Those bags normally have a red colored lining, and also those bags do not have the Vachetta leather, they have a dark brown leather. So the Damier Ebene color bags are very, very durable and probably the best all-weather bag that Louis Vuitton makes. Sadly, I do not have one here to show you today because I have gotten rid of all that style out of my collection. I just kind of got worn on it and wasn't really into it, so I don't have anything in that pattern to show you, but it's basically just like this with the darker brown. So there's monogram and then the two Damier styles. Another kind of material that you can get your Louis Vuitton accessories or handbags in is Vernis, and I'll put the spelling of all these words down below as I'm talking about them, but I absolutely love Vernis. You guys, if you watch my other videos, you know it's one of my favorite materials. It's like a patent leather material. It comes in a lot of beautiful colors, beautiful pinks, reds, purples, blues, pretty much any color you can imagine over the years. They do release new colors each season. They do discontinue colors over time, and some colors are limited edition. They're only available for one season and then they're gone. So I really love this color, especially this is violet from around the 2007 time period. It's a really lovely purple color, but Vernis definitely has a soft spot in my heart. You guys can probably see that there's an imprint of the Louis Vuitton logos in the leather, and it's just a really fun style material. The next material I have to show you guys is a new one for me. This is a coated canvas with a screen print on the top of it, and this one is multicolor. This also has the Louis Vuitton logos across the front, and you can see that it is a lot of different colors on there. This is one of my newer styles that I've tried out, and so far I'm really, really liking it. The one downside to this is supposedly over time the screen print can chip and, you know, eventually maybe come off and that sort of thing. I've been using these pretty steadily for about 4 to 6 months, and I haven't had any issues with it, so I'm really loving these so far. And you can see that these have different types of leather accessories. This one has the Vachetta leather right here on the side, but then on the interior there is a really bright, lovely pink leather on this wallet, and then this one also has a slightly different pink, also very lovely, as the accent leather on the inside. So I love the multicolor because you can get those super fun colors for the interior and accent leather pieces. The next material I have to show you is an all leather, and this is Epi leather. It's spelled E-P-I, and it's a very durable, tough, hardened leather, and it's very unique to Louis Vuitton. You can see it has kind of a grain effect across the leather, and this one in particular is black with silver hardware. I really love the Epi styles because it's one of the few bags that Louis Vuitton makes that is available with the silver hardware, and I'm a silver hardware gal. So I really love this bag, especially in my collection, and it's just a very durable and special type of material that Louis Vuitton makes. And the last material I have to show you is also an all leather. This one is actually a fairly new material that's come out within the past few years, and this one is called the Emperente line. This one is an all leather with the Louis Vuitton logo stamped into the leather, and it's a softer leather, but it's very thick and very durable. So this one actually has stuffing in it right now. It would hold its shape if it was set down, but it is not quite as rigid as the Epi leather. It's very soft. You can, you know, kind of see how you can maneuver the sides and press it in a little bit. So it's a little bit more pliable than the Epi leather is, and it's just all around a very, very gorgeous bag. In fact, I actually initially got this because it reminded me of Balenciaga, but it's definitely a more durable leather. It's thick and just a really, really nice leather. So that is the last material I have to show you. So those are the materials I have to show you, but there are other material options out there, just to let you know. There's a number of all leather options, which are in mostly above, at this point with the price increases, $4,000 and above range, which at that point is pretty much out of my price range of what I want to spend on one single item. And those pieces are absolutely gorgeous, and all leather pieces. So if you're looking for an all leather piece, they may be other materials for you to look at. So there's the Mahita line, the Anthea line, and more that are options in a lot of different price ranges, and then of course the limited edition items that come out each season as well. The next thing that I wanted to talk about was date codes, and for most modern Louis Vuitton bags, they all have a date code stamped on it, and for accessories as well, stamped on it somewhere on the bag or accessory. And so for like this Palermo PM, there's a little flap of the Vachetta leather down in the interior of one of the pockets, and this has a date code. These date codes are formatted in 2 alpha and 4 numeric codes, and they signify where the bag was made and also the week and the year that it was made for the newer style handbags. I have a full video on more on how to read date codes, which I will link down below because it gets into an entirely different subject. But date codes are one thing that you definitely want to look at as far as when you're looking for authentic bags in the pre-owned market, of course, but then it's also just a neat thing to look at when you are buying your bag in the boutique, because you can actually pick it up and find what week and year that bag was actually made. So I think it's a really cool thing that they do with their bags, and is just kind of a unique thing to Louis Vuitton. So I wanted to talk just a little bit about hardware, since I did in the Balenciaga video as well. And I touched on this a little bit at the beginning. As you saw with most of these items, they all have this kind of like brass gold color hardware. And that is what the majority of the styles, leather or canvas, come with, is this kind of gold tone hardware. And there are a few styles, the Anthea line, the Epi line, that do have silver hardware available, but they're a little bit rare and not necessarily harder to find, but there are not as many of them. So silver hardware is a little bit more of a rarity with Louis Vuitton, and so you have to really kind of do your research if you're wanting specifically silver hardware to find what bags it would be available on. So when you buy your bag in the store, it may come with a large brown Louis Vuitton box. It may not. You can actually decline those if you don't want one. For myself, I've stopped taking them because I have only kept a couple of them in my closet, and then I just pretty much run out of space, so I don't really need them. But all the bags should come with a dust bag. The modern ones look like this, and the flap dust bag kind is the most common kind. And then also the tags really honestly vary by the store that you go to. These are 2 of the more common tags. There's a little paper tag. This one says coated fabric because it came with this totally, and then it also has the totally style tag that's down on the inside. I have seen a lot of different tags, especially like if you buy at a Saks or someplace like that. They sometimes even have a sticker on the outside of the dust bag where they are supposed to take it off, I think, before you give your dust bag, but I've actually received things from a Saks LV with that still on there. So there are a lot of different tag options, and those are the things that are the most common to come with your bag. The next thing I wanted to talk about was care and maintenance, and again I have a totally different video which I'll link down below on the specific subject of care and maintenance, but just as a beginner's introduction, I talked a little bit about the Vachetta leather and how it will oxidize and darken over time. So this is something that if you're not using it, you do want to protect the leather and potentially keep the bag in its dust bag to keep it in its best form, not overexpose it to sunlight, leave it sitting on your car seat and that sort of thing, because it's going to darken the leather a lot quicker over time. Also, if you use a lot of lotion on your hands or have particularly oily hands for whatever reason, it may also oxidize the bag a little bit quicker than it would otherwise. Another thing that can happen that I wanted to mention is color transfer, and this isn't a super huge problem with all the bags, but something to be mindful of depending on what style you're interested in. If you always wear dark jeans like I do, with some of the styles like the Azure, it is possible for them to actually pick up the color off of your jeans and darken. Now, I haven't had a problem with this totally because of where it hits me. It actually hits me above my hips or right at my hip, and it doesn't actually touch my jeans when I'm wearing it. So that's been really good with that style. However, the Vachetta can also pick up color transfer, and so I did have one example to show you. The corners of the Palermo have actually gotten color transfer on them just from rubbing up them against my jeans when I've been using this long shoulder strap. This back handle has actually gotten color transfer on as well from sitting against my hip and then basically rubbing against my jeans. So color transfer is possible, but it's not a huge deal as long as you can either anticipate it and know it's going to happen, or basically take steps to avoid it as well. Another thing that can happen with the Vernis colors and the lighter colors is they can actually take transfer off of other things inside of your bag. I have never had this problem, but I do know that you need to be mindful if you have a Damier Ebene bag with the darker red lining, that's like the suede material, you should be mindful of putting like the lighter colors, whites and creams and that sort of thing, down inside with the Vernis leather, because they are more prone to picking up color transfer. I've only owned the darker colors in Vernis, and so I've never had an issue with it myself, but it's just something to be mindful of. And the last question that I wanted to touch on in this video that a lot of people have is where to buy pre-owned Louis Vuitton items. And I get to ask this a lot: where do I find my pre-owned items? Where would I suggest buying them? And just like the Balenciaga video, I will say I am not affiliated with any of these places, but I feel comfortable recommending a few consignment places to you guys to look for authentic pre-owned items. The first one is yojiscloset.com, and this one has a really great kind of system to find items. It's very easy to find items. They have good pictures of everything, and their prices seem pretty reasonable. The other place is Anne's Fabulous Finds. They have a system that's similarly set up. You can browse things by the brand, and they seem to have a large selection of items available. And again, all of their items are authentic, and they have a process for authenticating all of them. And then another place you could check is Fashion File. Sometimes their prices are a little bit higher, but they seem to get some of the limited edition items a little bit more often, so they are also supposed to have authentic pre-owned items. And for any brand, I would say absolutely, if you're looking other than one of those consignment places that have their own authentication in places, or even if you're looking at something in those places, definitely have your items authenticated, and make sure that if you don't know what you're looking for on your own, definitely have an authenticator or authentication service look at them for you. There are definitely a lot of forums out there that have authentication threads where you can put the pictures up or the listing up and just get double checked by some other pairs of eyes, just because the pre-owned market, obviously if you're paying a lot of money, you absolutely want to make sure you're getting something authentic. And especially with Louis Vuitton, I'd be very, very cautious, because it's one of the brands that I think is most highly faked out there. And so there are definitely some things that authenticators can look for and give you their opinion, but I would not just purchase something pre-owned blindly without having it authenticated. So hopefully this has been helpful, and thanks so much for watching. Have a great day.